different from being a vegan, which is vegans don't eat anything animal product, and vegetarians don't eat meat, but sometimes fish or, animal products.
Do you know the benefits or some benefits of vegetarianism?
Well, in terms of the environment, I would think that it would be better about industrialized farming because it's all about supply and demand. If we're eating less meat, then they're supplying less meat, and then if enough people do it, then industrialized farms have no choice but to downsize.
Have you considered vegetarianism?
Yeah, I mean, just not so much because of the health of not eating meat, but the health of not eating meat that has antibiotics and hormones and things such as that in it. I mean, I picked up a pack of Oscar Mayer bacon the other day, and I looked at it, and it had like corn syrup and like artificial sweeteners. Like, why do you need sugar and corn syrup or any type of syrup in meat? The only ingredient should be water, salt, meat, and they're just putting all these additives into it that ultimately result in a lot of bad things.
How much meat do you think you consume?
Well, I eat it once a day, so one meal a day. I'd say I consume less than the average amount of meat. I mean, it's kind of disgusting to think that the average American consumes, I think it was 132 pounds of meat a year. That's like a whole, like, me a year. That's gross.
If you consume less meat, do you feel that you have more energy?
Sometimes. I mean, they say that the iron that comes from red meat gives you energy, but I think that you could get that in so many other sources, such as spinach or anything with vitamin K in it, or just even taking your vitamins every day, or eating, essential vitamins. I think that that would do it for you, even more so than eating, a bunch of preservatives and hormones that come in meat.
I've been a vegetarian for approximately 4 years now. I think vegetarianism can benefit people in a numerous amount of ways. It changes your lifestyle, it changes your diet, it changes your health. I believe that majorly affects your health and your diet because since you cut out meat, meat is comprised of many hormones and chemicals that are detrimental to your health, and therefore when you switch your diet and you completely remove meat, your diet and your metabolism, the inner workings of it have to change and adapt to not having that source of meat constantly in there. I remember when I first became a vegetarian, I lost about 5 pounds just like the first month, and that was a huge thing because you realize that meat is really heavy and like all that heaviness kind of weighs you down as a person. But after you adapt to not eating meat, it changes your lifestyle. So you start thinking about what you're eating and what's really in your food, not just in meat, but in all the other aspects. You look at the chemicals, you look at the makeups, you look at how unhealthy the food is for you. So ultimately it changes your lifestyle. Perhaps you want to even consider going vegan, which totally changes your lifestyle. But either way, you start viewing things in a different way just because you accepted the challenge to remove meat from your diet. Overall, I feel much healthier. I feel like maybe during the first month it was a little bit hard because it's just like, here, you want some chicken? Here you go. I was like, no, I'm trying not to eat meat. And knowing in my family, meat was a big part of my life. And so when they started seeing that I didn't want to eat it, the first month was a little bit hard. But as time went on, I started feeling lighter, I lost weight, and I just started feeling better, knowing that I wasn't eating something that wasn't essentially very good for you. And in doing that, I started influencing my family. And so now the majority of my family has cut back greatly on the use of meat. My grandma, she eats everything organic and vegetarian. All members of my family have reduced their intake on meat. And so I think it set a good example for my whole family.
The way we eat has changed more in the last 50 years than in the previous 10,000. The modern supermarket has on average 47,000 products.
The industry doesn't want you to know the truth about what you're eating, because if you knew, you might not want to eat it. We've never had food companies this powerful in our history.
Everything we've done in modern agriculture is to grow it faster, fatter, bigger, cheaper.
If you could grow a chicken in 49 days, why would you want one you got to grow in 3 months?
When you go through the supermarket, there is an illusion of diversity. So much of our industrial food turns out to be rearrangements of corn.
Sometimes you look at a vegetable and say, okay, well, we can get 2 hamburgers for the same price.
They have managed to make it against the law to criticize their products.
There is an effort to make it illegal to publish a photo of any industrial food operation.
I find it incredible that the FDA wants to allow the sale of meat from cloned animals without any labeling.
Peanut butter contaminated with salmonella.
E. coli has been found in spinach, apple juice.
Smells like money to me.
The average consumer does not feel very powerful. It's the exact opposite. When we run an item past the supermarket scanner, we're voting for local or not, organic or not.
Look at the tobacco industry. The battle against tobacco is a perfect model of how an industry's irresponsible behavior can be changed.
Imagine what it would be if, as a national policy, the idea would be to have such nutritionally dense food that people actually felt better, had more energy, and weren't sick as much. You know, now see, that's a noble goal.
People have got to start demanding good, wholesome food of us, and we'll deliver, I promise you.
This could be the first generation of children in the United States that lives less than its parents.
I got 2 pills I take for my diabetes, then I got 1 for cholesterol, high blood pressure, and then I take Byetta, which is an injectable.
I'm getting really shaky, and I'm sick and I'm fatigued, and that's when they diagnosed me with hypertension and diabetes.
Obesity, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure cost this country more than $120 billion each year.
People are saying, you're crazy. You're a cancer patient. You should be resting. Doctors told me this. When I had the second heart attack, the doctor said I should prepare for death.
Heart disease is an absolutely toothless paper tiger that need never, ever exist.
People who were raised in Japan, the Philippines, Korea, China, never had heart disease, prostate cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis.
This is the atlas of cancer mortality in China.
Virtually, the Western diet was non-existent. They had no animal products. They had no dairy, no meat.
We learned that we could turn on and turn off cancer growth just by adjusting the level of intake of that protein.
I knew at that point what caused most diseases.
Our national authorities are simply excluding this concept in order to protect the status quo.
With the Western diet, there are going to be 500,000 people in this country this year who will have to have the front half of their body divided, their heart exposed. Some people would call that extreme.
I know of nothing else in medicine that can come close to what a plant-based diet can do.
If you go through life thinking that what happens to you from a health perspective is based on your genes, you're a helpless victim.
I've reversed the diabetes. The diabetes is not coming back.
I just can't understand what it's done to change my life.
Diet is so much more important than anybody ever thought.
To me, the answer is so simple, it's criminal. And it's just people starting to take responsibility for their health and starting to eat more plant-based foods. It's that simple.
us were lovers, that is that. For nothing will keep us together.